Welcome to my October TBR. Hey pals, Alicia here. I hope you are doing well. And if you're new here, this is the place where we talk about books. Today I am here to bring to you my October TBR, all the books that I plan to read in the month of October. Every month for my TBR, I play a bit of a TBR game that I call the D20 Challenge. I will link the original D20 Challenge video above where I go through how the game works and all of the prompts. But essentially, I've got a D&D D20 die here. There are 20 sides on this die, and I roll this die 3 times, and then for whatever number comes up on the die, I've got an associated reading prompt to help me pick one of the books on my own TBR to kind of get me going through my backlist, and then everything else is just whatever the heck I want to pick up. That being said, in October, I am very excited to be participating in the Gothtober Readathon. It is a month-long readathon reading challenge that is hosted by Olivia at Olivia's Catastrophe, who is an absolute gem. Tish from Little Wolf and Ladette M. I will link all of their channels and announcement videos below. And the thing that I love about Gothtober not only is that it's, you know, a readathon about reading spooky books, but also it's a month-long readathon. I love month-long readathons because I feel like I can actually accomplish them or get close to accomplishing all of those sweet challenges. So there are 10 reading themed prompt challenges associated with Gothtober. I'll get into that TBR stack second. First, I really want to roll these the dice and see what the TBR gods have in store for me. I've also linked all of the prompts below so you can follow along if you care to do so. So without further ado, let's get into roll number 1. The first roll revealed the number 11, and 11 is a bit of a fun one. For this one, I turn on a random letter generator, picks me a random letter, and then I have to pick a book that either starts with that letter or with the author's name that starts with that letter. So I'm just gonna go ahead and open up the random letter generator app on my phone. I'm gonna put it up on the screen here, and we're just gonna click away. So we're starting out with the letter Y. That was the default letter that was in here. And we're just gonna click generate random letter, and it comes up with the letter H. So we're gonna be picking a book or an author's name that starts with the letter H. So for a book or an author's name that starts with the letter H, I am going to be reading Human Acts by Han Kang. Conveniently, the title and the author's name both start with H, so that's just fate, baby. So Han Kang is the author who wrote The Vegetarian, which won the International Booker Prize in, I think, 2016 or 2017, and that novel absolutely blew me away. So I am really excited to read another of her works. Human Acts is a dark fiction, I think a little bit historical fiction story that is centered around a student uprising that happened in South Korea. It's kind of a story of political and social unrest, and it is kind of following this theme of interconnected short stories, which I kind of love. So each chapter is following a different person that is kind of set in this time and place. It is promised to be very chilling, very dark, very violent, very grim, and I have learned from The Vegetarian that she writes like disturbing content, but also very poetic and beautiful and disturbing content very, very well. So I am really excited to read this, and the cover is absolutely stunning. So I will be reading this one for the dice roll 11. Now let's move on to roll number 2. The second roll of the die revealed the number 6, and 6 is to read my most recently acquired book. And that is just super coincidental because I wanted to add this book onto my TBR in some way, shape, or form anyway, so to be able to add it into the dice roll is just perfect. And that book is Fools by Pat Cadigan. This is the September-October pick for my so-called book club hosted by Bert over at Pastori Time. I read the July-August book and it was fun. It was fine. I enjoyed it, and this one I'm really excited for. My so-called book club is a book club where we just read books from the 90s, and Fools is a book from the 90s. Fools is a cyberpunk story about a woman named Marva who is a capital method actor. I just love that it's capitalized, that she's a method actor. And so she's a method actor and she wakes up in a hollow pool. She wakes up in a hologram pool and she has no idea where she is. She has no idea who she is. She doesn't know what's going on, but she's being pursued by assassins. So she's kind of on the run whilst trying to piece together what's going on. Cyberpunk worlds, super stoked to get into that grimy, dusty, aesthetic world where somehow everyone is an absolute babe, but just like the environment is trash. So really excited about that and really excited to see what happens with Marva. Now let's move on to that third and final roll. So roll 3 is just a nice little way to end the D20 challenge, and that is the number 8. And 8 is to read a short read, a book that is 250 pages or less. For a short read, I am going to be reading Freshwater by Akwaeke Emezi. This is just rounding in at around 210 pages, and I have been highly anticipating this book, and I am very excited to get to it. Freshwater is a contemporary fiction story following a person named Ada, and Ada is just going into college, and then I believe when they get there, something traumatic happens to them that causes some sort of internal struggle or issue to occur. The back jacket says that Ada has like a traumatic event crystallizes a whole bunch of selves within them into something more powerful. So I'm not sure if that's a metaphor or if that's a literal exploration in this story, but it seems like it's going to be very cerebral. I've also heard that it's quite traumatic and difficult to read in subject matter. So I've kind of been bracing myself for a while looking at this one, and I think that October is the month where I'm ready to dive in. I haven't read anything by Akwaeke Emezi yet, but the 3 books that I am aware of that they have written all sound incredible, so I am hoping to start out with their debut and dive right into their work. So that was the D20 challenge. Those are the 3 books that the D20 gods have given me to prioritize in the month of October, which I definitely will, but I've also created a full TBR for the Gothtober Readathon. And so there are 10 themed reading challenges for the Readathon, and that is way more books than I can read in a month alone, but I couldn't help myself from picking a book associated with each prompt. So I've picked way more books than I can read in a month, and I'm just hoping to use that as the kind of pile to pick and choose from, so I still have flexibility in my reading because I'm a moody reader. So this is just like a big stack of books that I will be pulling from in October, and if I finish them all, that's incredible, but I don't know that I will. But well, let's just explore those books, why don't we? The first Gothtober reading prompt is lies. Read a book with lies, liar, lying in the title, or a book where the main character is a liar. And I feel like with most crime, thriller, dark fiction, you got a lot of liars in the works, but the novel that I would like to read is Father of Lies by Brian Evanson. I am currently waiting for this in the mail, so hopefully it gets to me in time. The only thing I know about this book is that it is by Brian Evanson. It is a dark crime, horror, following an evil priest. I think he's either some sort of abuser, some sort of murderer, but it's an evil father of lies. So that's all I want to know for that one. And if it gets here, I will be reading this book. But if it doesn't, I feel like for all of the other 9 books that I have picked, there's definitely going to be a liar in there somewhere. Prompt number 2 is female protagonist. Read a book led by a female heroine. And for this one, I will be reading Beloved by Toni Morrison. I read The Bluest Eye this month in the month of September. It was my first Toni Morrison and it absolutely blew me away. Beloved follows a woman named Seth who has escaped from slavery and I think now is kind of confronting and coming to terms with the trauma that has left to her. I believe this is a bit of a ghost story, so it really lends itself into that spooky Gothtober Halloween themes as well. Third reading prompt is foreign country. Read a book that is set somewhere other than where you live. And for this one, I will be reading 7 Years of Darkness by Jong Jong. 7 Years of Darkness follows the story of a young girl that is found murdered in a small South Korean village. And I believe there are 3 men who were there to find this girl's body. And they are kind of racing to try and uncover what happened to this girl while also hiding bits and pieces of why they were in this place in the first place. So there's a lot of hidden agendas, hidden motives, lots of lying going on in this story. Jong Jong really knows how to only give you as much as you can handle for a while in the story as the plot kind of reveals itself. I find her novels very fast-paced, very thrilling, very edge of your seat, and I plan to buddy read this with Kat from Biblio Obscura. I really like buddy reading with you. Prompt number 4 is modern retelling. Read a Gothic classic or a Gothic-inspired novel. A Gothic-like novel. So for this one, I will be reading The Devil All the Time by Donald Ray Pollock. This is a Southern Gothic novel, so that works, that fits, that definitely is what I'm going to be reading. I received this book as a gift and I am very excited to get to it. Also, the timing is kind of works out because the movie just came out on Netflix, so I definitely want to read the book before I watch the movie. The Devil All the Time is a Southern Gothic story set in a small backwoods town, and it just follows a really diverse, nefarious group of characters. We've got like a spider-eating preacher, a demented team of serial killers, a corrupt local chef. So a corrupt local chef! No, he's not a chef. A corrupt local sheriff. I want to read the book about the corrupt local chef. Oh my god, I gotta write that. I'm patenting that. Don't take that from me. So yeah, we got some serial killers, a spider-eating preacher, a corrupt local sheriff, and just kind of the riveting mayhem that ensues from there. That all sounds amazing to me. I'm really excited to get to this, and then I'll watch the movie. Next, we've got Bones. Read a book with bones on the cover, and I was very thrilled. I had lots of options. I own so many books with bones on the cover, but for this one, I will be reading Autumn Crow by Cameron Chaney. I have been holding on to this book specifically for waiting for October, waiting for the Halloween month to really dive into this one. Every night is Halloween in Autumn Crow. This is a collection of horror short stories, all, you know, they might not all be about Halloween, but this cover certainly is Halloween-y, and spooky horror short stories. Cameron Chaney is a booktuber. I encourage you to go check him out. His videos are great. His library is amazing. And I'm really excited to read this one. I have read one short story by Cameron Chaney before in an anthology collection, Other Voices, Other Tombs. Really enjoyed it. Very excited to read more short stories from him. Horror short stories are my favorite, so reading these spooky stories in the month of October just sounds chef's kiss. Oldest book. on your owned TBR. And one of the spookiest, oldest books I have on my owned TBR is Out by Natsuo Kirino. This is a crime mystery thriller that has been on my TBR for years. Multiple years. This has moved with me multiple times. I have owned this for a very long time. And this is a story of female friendship and murder. This is about a woman that murders her abusive husband and then recruits the help of her friends, her girlfriends, to help her get rid of the body, disguise the murder. And then I think this kind of morphs from just covering up one murder into a crime ring where these women help each other out to to commit the various crimes that will help make their lives better. And then they help each other out. So I feel like it's kind of like dark comedy in a way, but also crime, also thrilling, also a little bit mysterious. I don't know why I haven't read this yet. And October seems like the month to do it. Next is Red. Read a book with red on the title or red on the cover. And for that, I will be reading Tender is the Flesh by Augustina Bazterrica. I am highly anticipating this novel, and I will also be reading this one as a buddy read with Amelia Reads, so I am really excited about that. Tender is the Flesh is set in this world where all of a sudden animal meat becomes toxic to humans. So this is following a man named Marcos who works in a meat processing facility where they have started cultivating and humans for food. And he works in the facility that is turning humans into food. And then I think it kind of goes down into like a human level where maybe he meets one of these human food specimens and starts treating it like a human instead of like meat. So we're getting a little bit of speculative fiction. We're getting a little bit of social commentary here. I've heard it's gruesome, but also very thought-provoking. So I am very excited to read this one, and it's got your red. It's got your red there for ya. Next up, we've got Undead Character. Read a book that features some sort of undead character, whether that's vampires, whether that's ghosts, whether that's zombies, whether that's what have you, some sort of undead character. So for this, I will be reading Mapping the Interior by Stephen Graham Jones. This is a short novella that is about a young Blackfeet man who is all of a sudden being visited by the ghost of his father, who is visiting him in full Blackfeet regalia. And I imagine that he has some sort of conflicting feelings about being visited by the ghost of his father. We've got ghosts, we've got family drama, we've got Stephen Graham Jones, who is just an absolutely stunning writer, I must say. And I'm very excited to add a little short book onto this TBR pile. The next reading challenge is Gray Morality. Read a book with characters who are morally gray. And I find this one kind of challenging because I feel like how would I know that until I have read the novel? So I've just gone ahead and made some guesses for this one. And for this one, I have picked The House Guest and Other Stories by Amparo Davila. This is a collection of short stories that kind of lean on the horror, but also on dark fiction, dark contemporary fiction. And the back kind of describes this as, with acute psychological insight, Davila follows her characters to the limits of desire, paranoia, isolation, and fear. She is a writer obsessed with an obsession who makes nightmares come to life through the everyday. So I feel like there is likely to be one or two morally gray characters in this. I don't even know where I heard about this book. I think I just saw it on some sort of Goodreads list and it pulled to me so hard, and the cover is really interesting. So, and this is another short novel, short stories. Love it. That's just absolutely perfect for me. So I'll be reading this for the gray morality prompt, and hopefully it aligns. We'll find out. The final Gothtober reading prompt is dark academia. Read a book with that dark academia aesthetic, and I will admit I do not like the dark academia trope, like the secret history style trope where you're following these just like rich kids in university like doing bad things. Like, I don't care about it. I'm not here for it. So for this prompt, I have gone with my own spin on the dark academia trope, and I will be reading Battle Royale by Kushan Takami. So I guess this is dark academia in the sense that you have students in school who are then brought to this place and given weapons and have to murder each other. And then the last one living wins the game. Wins the game, I guess. So that's school related, academia, and it's dark because they're murdering each other. This is what I'll be reading for the dark academia prompt. There you have it, pals. I have an exceptionally ambitious TBR stack planned for October. I can tell you now there is absolutely no way in hell that I will be reading all of these, but I really want this to be, you know, I'm really gonna try. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought. Let me know if there's one that you think I should get to first, which ones you think I should prioritize. Thanks again for being here, pals. I love talking about books with you all. Let me know if you are also doing Gothtober and what you will be adding onto your TBR. I want to see it. I want to see more Gothtober TBRs, please. Yeah. So until next time, I'll see you, bye!